Hello, all you beautiful people. So, I just got back from church, and I wanted to try to make this video before I went and trained somebody, because I really enjoyed, sorry, the message that that was preached about today. We had a guest speaker or preacher. It's the guy who he ran the youth group. Wait, honestly, I have no idea who he was, but he's doing something in the church. I think he ran the youth group, and he's taken off. So he was doing something. It was graduate Sunday, so congratulations to anyone who's graduating from high school, college, whatever you're doing. It's a big deal to graduate, and so today they had him come in and preach on something completely different than we've been doing, and so it was kind of refreshing. So basically the theme of today's sermon was fuel the fire. And for me, so one thing about me, I love chemistry. I love science. Biochemistry is my jam. I could talk about that kind of stuff all day long. So, I definitely have that kind of like sciencey, nerdy aspect to me that I don't really talk about a lot, but I am fascinated by biological science. So, which is, actually, never mind. That's another video. Anyways, but one of the things that has always kind of interested me is, so one thing about life is energy is never destroyed or created. And that's something that you kind of, it's just ingrained in your head as you go through school. And one thing that he had talked about today was when things are set on fire. Now, fire doesn't destroy anything. Fire changes the chemical composition of things, but it never actually destroys something. You could take this shaker bottle, set it on fire, and it will melt. It'll still be, there could be, depending on the type of plastics and things like that, it could change a little bit compositionally, but it's just in a different state. And so he started off the sermon talking about your heart. And when you accept God into your life, the way that your life changes is almost the way it is when you set something on fire. And he used the analogy that when you accept Jesus into your life, you're setting your heart on fire, and it fuels this passion. And I think that I'm lucky enough that, obviously this was 3 weeks ago that it happened, but I'm lucky enough to be able to vividly remember the feeling that I felt when I was saved. I know a lot of my friends were children. They were 6, 7. One of my friends said she was 4. And while you may remember the actual act of it's hard to recollect just the intensity of how it felt. And so I think I'm very blessed that I'm old enough to recall that. So I think that was a great analogy. But what kind of the sermon was about was, so when you're tending to a fire, fires can go in different ways. Me personally, you take me camping and you do not want to put me in charge of a fire. I suck at keeping fires alive. Once it's huge, I'll just be like, all right, and I'll poke it with a stick. But starting the fire, not my forte. So you can take a fire, and depending on how you take care of it and how you nourish it or how you neglect it, it'll either extinguish or it'll flourish. And you'll have this giant bonfire, and it'll be great. Roasted marshmallows and weenies and, great campfire. And that's exactly what you have to do with your heart once you basically just give yourself to Christ. And when he was saying that, I was getting so hyped. I was like, yeah, because it's still super alive in my heart, because, it's still so fresh, and I want to tend it. Every single day, I try to do something to bring myself closer to his word, whether that's talking to my friends about it, reading a daily devotional, making these videos, reading the Bible. I'm joining devotionals. Well, I'm only in 2. I'm doing one that's studying the book of Jonah, and then tonight is the first night that I'm going to do the book of David. And I'm super stoked about that because from what I've heard, David is awesome. And I think it's Psalm 27, that one where he's just like, yeah, God. Like that, I feel like that's my war cry. Like, I've read it a few times, and every time I read it, I'm like, ah. So, that's, I don't know, I'm excited about that. But, And one thing that I was waiting on him to kind of make a connection to was with fire, you have the fire triangle. So you have fuel, you have oxygen, and you have heat. And basically, I kind of right when he said a fire, I thought of the Holy Trinity, and then the fire triangle, and I was like, that's so cool. But he didn't make that connection, so I was kind of bummed out about that. But if you think about it, I mean, you need all three sides of that to basically live, as a Christian. You have, oxygen, which is just, you need oxygen to survive. And the way that I see that is oxygen is like his word. So you have, your devotionals, your Bible, your whatever you're doing to just make sure that he is in your life. To me, that is your oxygen. And you cannot have fire, and you cannot have this burning desire without introducing his word into your life, if that makes any sense. And it's the same thing with oxygen. Cut off your oxygen, good luck. Heat, the way that I'm looking at heat is it's kind of like your passion, because when you're like getting it, you get fired up. And I don't know, those kind of like correlated to me. And then the fuel, that is just kind of whatever you do to keep yourself motivated. I really liked that he brought up that there's 3 essential times that you really need to seek God, and it's not just in tough times. Like for me, I've been going through a lot lately, so it's really easy for me to constantly be like, Lord, give me strength, give me patience, give me understanding, give me whatever you got, because I've been going through a tough time. But one thing that I feel really good about is when something good happens, you have to thank him, because you have to thank him in the good and you have to thank him in the bad, because without constantly keeping him alive in your heart and your mind and talking to him, it's gonna fizzle out. I mean, every single time something good happens to me, that's like the first thing I think of is I'm just like, thank you, Jesus. I don't know what I did to deserve this, but thank you. Thank you for, guiding me on this crazy path I'm on. And it's just, I don't know, it's a really good feeling. It's like, it's just positive encouragement for your faith. But like some of the things that I wrote down was, because he talked about 2 Corinthians, and talked about King Asa? I'm not good at names yet. And he just talked about that story about how there were all the kings of Israel, and then he came and he was good with God, and then all of a sudden, he won his war and whatever, and then, he heard something he didn't like, so he turned from God, then I guess he got fungus on his feet and he died. I don't know, crazy story. But seek God in hard times, which I think no one has a problem with. I wrote down a couple of things I like that he said, but we're not promised an easy life. We're going to face trials and tribulations, and that's something a lot of people have been pounding into my head. Like, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And I can tell. Just being out there and talking to people and things like that, it's tough. I've been immersing myself in Christianity. I mean, like, immersing myself. I've met a couple buddies, from church who I've been chatting with, and it's cool to have people in real life. I'm actually going to become a member of my church, going to church, all this stuff, music. But it's funny how you get around people who don't have strong faith or aren't Christians at all, and it's easy to just kind of get sucked away. But thankfully, everybody that I'm hanging out with right now, if they aren't Christians, they understand it and they're cool with it. Like, it's funny, one of the guys in my lifting team, he'll say something like perverted, not to me, but just like in general, and he'll look at me and be like, oh wait, you're a good little Christian girl. And that makes me laugh so hard, because I just think, I'm like, I am, aren't I? I don't know, it's just funny, because I've never heard that, but also, so the second thing was seek the Lord in good times. So one thing that I think is really a good point to hit on is that seek the Lord in good times, but enjoy yourself, but don't become complacent. Like right now, other than this mess in my room, life is really good. I have a lot of good things coming, but I'm not going to quit just constantly just being thankful and asking for his guidance and signs and stuff like that, because when you become complacent is when I think a lot of times people are like, all right, I'm good, I don't need to talk to God right now. And that's the devil. he's coming in, he's like, you know, he almost makes you want to become more complacent, because I think that pulls people away, honestly. And then also seek the Lord daily. And I found, well, seek the Lord daily just goes back to, you know, a daily devotional, a daily, you know, whatever you can do. But one of the things that he had read, the pastor guy, Ezekiel, what chapter is this? 36, verse 26 and 27. And it says, "A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you, it says an heart, but it should be a heart, a heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes." I can read, I promise. "And ye shall keep my judgments and do them." And when I heard that, I was like, that's so true, because, like, I don't know, after I got saved, it, like, one of the biggest feelings that I felt, and I mentioned this in that video, was just my heart just breaking. Not breaking, like, in a bad way, but just, like, shattering stone. And then all of a sudden, it was just, like, love and light and Jesus, and I was just like, oh my gosh! You know, it was, like, it was so cool. So when he said this verse, I was just like, yes! Preach! So, I don't know, like, I'm still on fire. And if you aren't on fire, you better light yourself up. Like, I don't know, and, I mean, I think one of the biggest things is because I'm just throwing myself into this, and it's helping me so much. And when it helps you, it's almost like fitness. When you start losing weight, and you start to see, like, your definition, you're like, psh, I could do this forever. Like, results fuel, motivate. I don't know. Get motivated. Tonight, like I said, I'm doing if you're in my area, I live in Chesapeake, Virginia. If you're in my area, I'm doing the Devotion of David at Panera in Greenbrier. Come out, hang out. I go to River Oak Church. I mean, if you want a church buddy, or you want somebody just to talk to, hit me up. My name's Sarah Von Keck. Instagram, Facebook, write me on here. I'll talk to you. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll talk to you. You know, but I like learning with people. So if you aren't motivated, get motivated. Find you a buddy and do it. You know, like, I mean, that's all it is. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. I have to finish eating and then go train this lady. But I hope you guys have a wonderful Sunday, and a great week. I'm gonna make a couple videos this week, but my life is getting crazy. But I just want you guys to know, just once you're on fire, just don't let it extinguish, alright? Be a better camper, fire tender than I am, but just get out there and do it and get involved. So, I hope you guys have a great day and a blessed Sunday, and I will talk to you later. Bye.